All right. So yeah, we've got the drill hole module, like I said, that you may be familiar with. That's got all the capabilities within 2D to generate downhole information, sections, and do all the analysis. So what we've got is an extension to that, and that's the Discover 3D. MapInfo Discover by default has this tab. There's a certain amount of things you can do. Just you can display drill holes, surfaces, spin them around, and that's about it. But you can do that as part of the standard package. What we've got in the Discover, in the drill holes module here, and you've got this Discover 3D down the end. It's really just a replica. There's those tools there. It's a replica of what's displayed here. So you can see all those drill hole tools there. So just for convenience, we've got it just in a drop down there. So firstly, I'll just display the drill hole traces in 3D. So I click that. I can decide what I want to, which holes you want to display in 3D. That automatically opens up Discover 3D. It is a separate sort of application. The way it works, it sort of throws the data over into Discover 3D from MapInfo. So they look pretty basic as is, but it's just bringing in traces at the moment. But you can do a fair bit to those. And what's good about it is it gives you a perspective. So if you just look at in MapInfo, I'll just turn off some things here. Oops. Yeah, so you've got your collars there. I'll open up some sections that previously created. So these have got annotations on them. So someone's geologically interpreted these. Yep. So in 2D view, you have you can see this. It's just basically a slice. And then let's see, we'll get the section lines there. So you can see where those section lines are. You can get a fair bit of analysis out of it, but it just takes it to the next level, being able to see those in 3D. So what we'll do next is we've got the drill holes. We'll throw in the surface. So that's the surface. We can go to the 3D tab here, and you've got options here. So map window just basically takes a snapshot of that current map window. It's geo-registered and puts that into 3D. Vectors, so that might be point line or polygons. So things like this, geological polygons, you can see those in 3D. But we're going to do surfaces, so I'll just do that. And excuse me, so what we've got here is that's the height surface, so the digital elevation model. I'll just go OK. Yep, so you can see it's a fairly pain-free way of putting the data in. There's no data transformations or anything which is required. That's all done for you in the background. Depending on the data type, it'll need to convert it. If it does, it all happens under the hood, so it's not like the user has to get it, take it to an external source or convert it within MapInfo. So that's all done, but generally it'll try and bring that data in its native format. Okay, so we've got our drill holes, we've got our surface model. There's lots of different things you can do to that. So at the moment, it's not transparent, so we can put transparencies. So yeah, you can do whatever you want there. So you can see through the terrain model there. Whole bunch of stuff you can do. You know, You can transform it so you can provide offsets, you can scale so you can make the hills look like they've got higher relief than they do, because if you're in a fairly flat area, you mightn't always be able to see the subtleties in the data set, but we don't need to do it in this case. I might just make that a little less transparent. Okay. So what we can do is I'll just show you with the drill holes here. It all sort of works off this session window here. And you generally right click and there's properties for all these object types here, or you can just double left click. Yeah, sometimes a little bit of lag when I'm on Teams here. So what we've got here is this is the properties dialog for drill holes. You can, even though we brought all the layers over, you know, you might just want to show certain ones. You can do all sort of filtering. Like that. I'll bring them all over. There's also this little filter option here that you can, you might want to just say, I want to exclude these or not show these ones. So there's options like that, so you can do it, yeah, sort of interactively there. I won't do that for the moment. Colors, so we can change the colors of these. So you can have legends. What's good about 3D is you've got this legend editor here. So you can create all your different legend types. And all those legends, which you can do in Map Info Discover. So there's that legend editor. It's the exact same legends you can apply in 3D. So it's not like you've got different legend schemes or anything like that. So that's quite handy. Okay. So yeah, we can do things like you might want to enable color up lithology. There's just general colors you can do, but you can also use those legends in order to color up. So I'll just see which is the one. I think it was that one. Okay, so what we've got here now, I'll just zoom that around. Oops. So you can see I'll just turn that DEM off. You can see they've been colored up. I'll make them a little bit bigger. So we've got an appearance tab here, and this thickness is just really sort of pixels, but I'll make that 20. You get an idea when you play around with it what you need. So you can color modulate those. That's based on the lithology downhole. But you can also do that. You might want to do it off, say, copper, something like that, off an element. So you can see that. Oops. And we can do things like, yeah, you can show gaps in the data. So what that does, it shows you where the assays are in the data set. And what you can do is things like, you've got this data tab here, and you can add a whole bunch of different types of data in here. So if we add another, say, drill hole branch or object in here, we can now see that there's the drill traces. And then I can see where the lithology, or where the assays are relative to the drill trace. So there's quite a lot you can do. Okay, so I'll just go back to putting that as a geology. Okay. Oops, sorry, I was doing the wrong one. All right, so we can do things like labeling. So if you wanted to do the collar labels, and you've got quite a lot of. I'll just turn the DEM back on. I'll just make that a little less transparent. So you're not stuck with those ones. So what we can do, just turn that off. So we can go into this label option here. You can do things like the direction of the labels. Okay. You can, we'll just change that a little bit. You can do a whole bunch of stuff with the like font sizes and make it constant. You can change colors. I'll just make them, won't make them 20, but let's just say about 14. Apply those. Okay. You can also, just have to bear with me, it's a bit slow on Teams here. Just get rid of that one. Okay, so you can do things like depth labels, end of hole labels. So as you're going down the drill collar there, you might want to show a depth label every 10 meters, something like that. Got all the different types of font styles and all that sort of thing. Just go down. That's a little bit crazy. We shouldn't probably do 10, so we might just do every 100 meters. So yeah, I won't bother adjusting all the sizes and that, but you get the idea. So you can change all that up. Let's go back to normal. Put those all across. Okay. So going back into map info here, all your sections that you've created in map info, you can also send them across. So you've got here drill hole sections. So, excuse me, we can do sections, section layers. So they're the interpretation. So if I just go back to one of the sections, all these colored polygons, they can all go into 3D. So we'll just do the sections for the moment. Just going to select all of those. That's just bringing those sections across, brings them over as images, and then you can see spatially where they're located. I'll just turn off the DEM here. So, yeah, so there's all your sections. You can see all your drill traces there. I'll just get rid of the coloring. So I had a bit of a session with this. Also, just started. Okay, just apply that. All right, so there's our original drill traces. Another thing we can do is we've brought those sections across. Now we want to do the section layers. Okay, so I'm going to select all of those sections. And what you can do here is you can say there is like a there's fields within these layers, and someone's gone and described each of those fields, so the different rock types and that. So we're going to use that, and what it'll do, it'll group the different rock types all as one sort of file. I'll just sort of show you. It's just creating a whole bunch of well, they're called feature databases, and they're the thing that's like the native type of file in Discover 3D, which allows you to manipulate and edit data. Otherwise, most data in 3D, it's in a like a read-only mode. So yeah, so you need to create it as a feature. So you see the thing here, it says export section layers as 3D features. So you put them into that, and then we can manipulate and do whatever you like to the data. So they'll slowly start to go in there. So you can see them here. That's grouping them by the different rock types. Should just take another 30 seconds or so. And then what we can do, once that's in, we can do things like join the data, create solids. So you've done your interpretations of data in a 2D environment, and then you can join those polygons, lines, whatever they are, in 3D and create like a solid. So there's a tool called Solid Generator. So I'll just wait for those to finish. And and I'll just show you what we can do with that. So it's sort of like a wireframing type operation, but it's more basic than like what you'd do in a resources package, but you're not going to spend a month wireframing and doing a whole bunch of tie lines. So it gives you a rough estimate, or an estimate of what a solid may look like. Not to say you can't go down the path of doing a resource estimate, but in exploration generally you don't need to get to that level. Okay, I think that's nearly done. All right. So it looks like nothing's happened, but what it actually is, I'll just turn off the sections, which are images. All right. So what they are, they're feature databases, and they're selectable, and you can edit them and all that sort of thing. So what I'll do, I'll just turn off some of these ones. So yeah, all these things are selectable, and you can turn off the visibilities. All right, so I've got this particular shale unit, and there we go. And what I want to do is use the solid generator. All right, so I picked that shale feature database. So there's those. Whole bunch of things you can do. You can actually use tie lines. What you'll see is when this is created, it won't actually be the shape that we want, but we can actually tie line it. I won't display that, but you can constrain how the model is created. It'll be whatever you want. So what I'll do, I'll just apply that. That's just going through the motions. So it gives you some stats here, surface area, volume of the model, etc. I'll just close that. And as you can see here, it's because it's sort of detected that there's two bodies there, and it's tried to join them up, which is incorrect, but you can actually use tie lines to join those together. So then you could have those two bodies joined, or there's options in there which allows you to sort of have two bodies created instead. So yeah, so that's the solid feature. So you can do it from lines, you can create sort of faults and planes. And if you've got solids, you can create, well, they're called polyhedrons, these bodies. And this is a DXF that got created, so that could be exported out to another package, or you can bring in DXFs and analyze as well. I think also you wanted to see, I think it was voxels in 3D. I'll just turn off this 3D, this model. Let's turn that one off. So what we've got is a voxel. It's sort of like a 3D cube or a grid that gets created. Excuse me. It's not to the, like I said, it's not to the level of a resource model one, but it's not bad considering what you need to do. So if you want to have a look or an estimate of what a block model might be or what it will look like, you can use this tool. Like I said, you don't need to spend a month or two constraining the model. It's especially for exploration. You just want to have a rough estimate of what an area is going to look like potentially as a 3D model. So 2 options here, inverse distance weighting and kriging. Okay, so you can choose all the different fields. So we'll do copper in this instance. You want to create a block model for that. Options here for just capping, really. If you've got blanks or samples not received or whatever, you can cap values that you want to grid. They're pretty much standard stuff like that. What it's going to do is create like a cube, and then these are just all the parameters around it. Looks a bit intimidating, but it's not really. It's just really the size of the cubes you're creating. So you can see here it's going to create a 40 by 40 by 40. Those values are really just whatever the data's in. If the data's in meters, it'll be 40 meters. If it's in feet or whatever it is, it'll be 40 feet. So, yep. So you can change that. It says here you can make sizes variable. So you might want to have a different size in the X, Y, and Z. You got this option here, preview mesh. So that shows you what the model is going to be produced, and you may want to have a look in comparison to your data there. Just zoom in a little bit. So yeah, you can go in there and see what the model's going to potentially look like. We'll just accept that. This is one where you start doing search ellipses. So with any sort of gridding, you might say, I want to search a 200-meter area or a 10-meter area, whatever it is. Yeah, pretty standard things with gridding. So you've got all those sorts of options. I'll leave it as is. And then you've got things like, especially because it's inverse distance, sort of the weighting. As a sample is further away, it has less weighting. So, yep, all those sorts of things. You can change all those options there. Okay, I'll just create a file. So yeah, you can see that's created it pretty seamlessly. That's a block model. And then what we can do with that block model, we can start to do some analysis. You can change the coloring. There's things like sort of thresholding, which basically just shows, you might just want to show certain values in the model. So you can either use these sliders or you can type the values in here. We might just want to show the higher end values. Let's go right up the top here. Yep. So you can see where all your higher end copper values. This is a fairly coarse example that I've done. I've done 40 meters by 40 meters. So would probably in reality, you'd do something more constrained than that. Yeah, there's also things like isosurfacing, which does, contouring. So you could create these. I'll just turn off the thresholding. But yeah, so you can do things like you can contour the data. Basically, creates these nice surfaces through there. You can do slicing, so you can see maybe based on your your drill hole sections, what the voxel model is going to look like. Yeah, so there's a whole bunch of things. There's that slice through that section. Oops, I'll just move that over. Oops, go back. Yep. So you've got the voxel model there. There it is. So yeah, so a whole bunch of things you can do with voxel models.